My wife laughed in my face at our daughter's 4th birthday party. The same day, I signed papers worth more than her boyfriend's entire bloodline would ever see. How long can you be invisible in your own marriage before the silence becomes evidence? That's the question I kept asking myself while 12 people watched Sarah throw her head back, wine glass in hand, telling everyone how I'd given up on being an artist. Trevor stood behind her, his hand on the small of her back. My back, our house, Emma's birthday. The party was at 2 p.m. on a Saturday in March. I remember because I'd written Emma 4 on the pink birthday cake in buttercream, my handwriting, the kind that slants left because I'm left-handed. Sarah told everyone she'd ordered it. She didn't know I'd kept the receipt in my wallet. $347 for a custom cake from Sweet Magnolia Bakery, charged to my Amex on March 1st at 10:23 a.m. I keep track of things now, timestamps, details, the weight of truth. Sarah's friend Michelle asked me what I did for work. Before I could answer, Sarah cut in. "Marcus paints," she said, the way you'd say someone collects bottle caps. Or he used to. Now he just, I don't know, exists? The room got quiet, the way rooms do when someone crosses a line, but nobody wants to call it out. Trevor laughed first, then Michelle, then everyone else, because that's what people do. They follow the permission structure. Emma was sitting on the floor, opening presents, her purple crayon clutched in one hand even though she wasn't drawing. She looked up at me, 4 years old, and she already knew something was wrong. I pulled out my phone and started recording, not her words, the timestamp. If you've ever smiled while breaking inside, held it together because someone was watching, type "I held it together" below, because that's what I did. I smiled. I cut the cake. I sang happy birthday while Sarah and Trevor exchanged looks that said he doesn't even notice. But I noticed. I noticed everything. That night, after everyone left, after Emma was asleep, I sat in my studio and looked at 3 years of documentation. Not paintings, evidence, bank statements, screenshots, recordings. I'd been building a file the way some people build a retirement account, slowly, methodically, invisibly. Sarah called me invisible once. I decided to stay that way. Monday morning, I walked into Janet Reeves's office with a blue legal folder and one manila envelope. The folder was thin, divorce petition, custody request, standard language. The envelope was thick, maybe 40 pages. The metal clasp clicked when I sealed it the night before, and I remember thinking that sound was the sound of finality. Janet was a family law attorney my buddy Carlos recommended. She had silver hair cut sharp at her jaw and the kind of glasses that said, "I've seen worse than you." "Mr. Hayes," she said, scanning the petition, "your wife makes significantly more than you according to these financials. She's a marketing director at Arcadia Tech. You're listed as self-employed artist with minimal income." "That's correct." "So you understand this is going to be difficult. She'll likely get primary custody. You'll owe spousal support. Her attorney will paint you as a failure," I said. "Yeah, I know." She looked at me over her glasses. "You seem very calm about this." I pushed the manila envelope across her desk. "That's insurance." "What's in it?" "Evidence," I said. "Don't open it yet. I'll tell you when." She picked it up, felt the weight. "Marcus, I need to know what we're working with here." "You will," I said, "but not until she files her response. Let her build her case first. Let her think I'm broke and desperate." Janet set the envelope down. "This is a chess game to you." "No," I said. "This is a custody battle. My daughter draws pictures of me making her breakfast because her mother hasn't woken up before noon in 7 months. This isn't a game." She was quiet for 18 seconds. I counted. "Okay," she finally said. "We file on Wednesday, but Marcus, if this backfires, you could lose everything." I stood up. "I already did." Janet asked what was in the envelope. I said, "Insurance." Sarah found out Thursday morning. I know because she posted about it on Facebook at 11:47 a.m. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. going through a difficult time but surrounded by love and support. A divorce warrior, stronger, together single mom life. She'd attached a photo of herself and Emma at the park, one I'd taken 2 weeks earlier. She'd cropped me out. Trevor was tagged in the comments. "You deserve so much better." 87 people liked the post within the first hour. Michelle, Sarah's mother, people from her office. Trevor's comment had 43 likes. I screenshotted everything, time-stamped, added it to the cloud folder labeled Character Evidence March 2024. I saved every single name. By Friday, Sarah had updated her relationship status to "It's complicated" and posted a quote graphic. "Sometimes the person you'd take a bullet for is the one behind the trigger." Pink sunset background, white script font. Trevor shared it, added "Truth." Saturday morning, she posted a photo of Emma with the caption, "My whole world. Being a mother is the hardest job there is, but I wouldn't change it for anything." The photo was from Emma's birthday. You could see the edge of the cake I'd made. Sarah had been on her phone when I'd snapped it. I remembered because I'd asked her 3 times to put the wine down and pay attention to Emma blowing out candles. Sunday, she went live on Instagram. I didn't watch it, but Michelle sent me a message later. "Dude, she's saying you abandoned the family. You might want to respond." I didn't respond. I saved the video, added metadata, cross-referenced timestamps with my calendar, showing I'd taken Emma to swimming lessons that same day. Let her talk. Let them all talk. Words are temporary. Documents are forever. My phone buzzed Tuesday night. Sarah's attorney, Richard Holt, requesting financial disclosures. He wanted 3 years of tax returns, bank statements, asset declarations, standard discovery. I sent him 1 year, the one where I'd made $9,000 selling 3 paintings at a gallery in Portland. I didn't send the other 2 years. Not yet. The drawing was in Emma's backpack. I found it Wednesday after I picked her up from daycare. Purple crayon on construction paper, the kind that's slightly rough and smells like elementary school. She'd pressed hard. The wax left ridges you could feel with your fingertips. The paper was still warm from her little hands. She'd drawn our family, 2 stick figures holding hands, one tall, one small. The tall one had glasses, that was me. The small one had pigtails, that was her. Above us, she'd written Daddy and me in letters that wandered across the top of the page. Sarah was there too, but she wasn't holding hands with us. She was facing away, walking toward another stick figure on the opposite side of the paper. That figure had a tie. She'd labeled it T. I sat in the car in the daycare parking lot for 11 minutes, holding that drawing, feeling something in my chest crack open that I didn't know how to close. Emma was in her car seat behind me, humming a song from Frozen. "Baby," I said, my voice careful, "tell me about your drawing." "It's our family," she said, like it was obvious. "Who's this?" I pointed to the figure walking away. "Mommy, she goes to see Mr. Trevor a lot." "Does she?" "Uh-huh. He comes to our house. They go in your bedroom." My bedroom, not our bedroom. Emma had already made the distinction. "When does he come over?" "When you're at the store or at the studio. Mommy says I can't tell you because it's a secret." She kicked her feet against the car seat. "But secrets are bad, right? You said secrets that make you feel weird are bad." I'd taught her that. After a presentation at her preschool about body safety and stranger danger, I'd told her nobody should ask her to keep secrets that made her tummy feel funny. "That's right, baby. You did the right thing telling me." She drew Trevor in our house, in our bedroom. I took 3 photos of the drawing, uploaded them to the cloud with location metadata and timestamp. Then I drove to Office Max and had it laminated. The teenager behind the counter asked if I wanted it trimmed. "No," I said. "I need the edges exactly as they are." That night I called Janet, told her about the drawing. She was quiet for a long time. "Marcus, this is..." This is evidence of emotional impact on the child. It's not proof of adultery, but it shows Emma's awareness of instability in the home. I know. You understand what this means? If we use this, Emma becomes part of the case. She might have to talk to a custody evaluator. She won't have to testify though, right? Not at her age, but the evaluator will interview her, ask her about her routines, her feelings, her sense of safety. I looked at the laminated drawing on my kitchen table. Purple crayon, 2 figures holding hands. Do it, I said. Janet paused. There's something else. Sarah filed a financial affidavit today. She's requesting full custody and spousal support of $4,200 a month. Based on what income calculation? Based on you having 0 income. She listed your annual earnings as $0, Marcus. 0. I felt something cold and sharp settle in my stomach. The good kind of cold. The kind that clarifies. She signed it under penalty of perjury? Yes. Why? Just checking, I said. I hung up and opened my laptop. Pulled up the folder I'd been building for 3 years. Tax returns showing aggregate income of $14.7 million. LLC operating documents for Hayes Digital Studio. Licensing agreements with Adobe, Shutterstock, and 11 indie game developers. Forbes article from October 2023 profiling the top earning NFT artists under pseudonyms. My pseudonym was Marcus Gray. Not particularly creative, but functional. Sarah had never asked about my studio work, never looked at my computer, never wondered why I spent 12 hours a day painting, but never had shows. I wasn't painting anymore. I was designing digital assets, UI kits, NFT collections that sold for figures that would make Sarah's marketing director salary look like allowance money. She listed my income as $0. She signed under penalty of perjury. I counted the lies on that one page. 7. The deposition was in Richard Holt's office. Glass conference room on the 14th floor with a view of the harbor. Sarah wore a cream blouse and her pearl earrings, the ones I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary. Richard was mid-50s, expensive suit, the kind of attorney who billed $600 an hour and made you feel it. Janet sat beside me. She told me that morning, say as little as possible, yes or no answers, don't elaborate, don't defend yourself. I won't, I'd said. Richard started easy, name, address, occupation. Self-employed artist, I said. And what does that entail? I create visual content. Can you be more specific? Digital paintings, graphic design, commission work. How much did you earn last year from this work? Around $9,000. He made a note, smiled. And the year before? Similar. Mr. Hayes, you understand you're under oath? Yes. So when you say you earned $9,000, you're saying that's your total income, no other sources? That's what I reported, I said. Technically true. I reported that income from my personal business. Hayes Digital Studio was a separate LLC. Richard leaned back. Mr. Hayes, is it fair to say you failed to establish a stable career? Janet started to object, but I put my hand on her arm. Yes, I said. Is it fair to say you have no gallery representation? Yes. No teaching positions at any universities or art schools? Correct. In fact, Mr. Hayes, would you say you've failed to achieve any of the professional goals you set when you graduated with your MFA 10 years ago? I would say that's accurate, I said. He looked at Sarah. She was watching me with something close to pity. Trevor was in the back of the room, arms crossed. Richard made another note. Let the record show. No gallery shows, no teaching position, no sustainable income, just... He paused. Failure? He called me a failure 3 times during that deposition. I let him. I sat there and agreed with everything. Janet's pen pressed so hard into her legal pad I thought it might tear through. When we left, she turned on me in the parking garage. What the hell was that, Marcus? You just handed them everything. I know. You let him call you a failure. You agreed. I did. Why? I unlocked my car because when you're invisible, people stop looking. And when they stop looking, they stop seeing what you're really doing. She stared at me. The envelope. Not yet, I said. Let her celebrate first. Let her think she's won. I installed the nanny cam 3 weeks before I filed for divorce. Not because I'm paranoid, because Emma came home from preschool and told me Mr. Trevor had been at our house during nap time. She said Mommy told her to stay in her room and watch iPad while the adults talked. 4-year-olds don't lie about things like that. They don't have the architecture for deception yet. The camera was a SanDisk 128G bar, black plastic, small enough to fit inside the stuffed bear on the living room shelf. The one Emma never played with anymore because she'd outgrown it. I set it to motion-activated recording and checked it every night after Sarah fell asleep. 47 hours of footage over 3 weeks. The first week was nothing. Sarah on her phone, Sarah watching TV, Sarah ignoring Emma asking for a snack. Week 2, Trevor showed up on a Tuesday at 2:17 p.m. I was at the art supply store buying canvases I didn't need, establishing a pattern of errands, creating alibis for my absence. They sat on the couch, talked, his hand on her knee. Nothing actionable yet. Week 3, things changed. March 19th, 3:42 p.m. The timestamp burned into my memory the way trauma does. Emma was supposed to be napping. The camera caught her walking into the living room in her pajamas, holding her stuffed rabbit, the purple one she's had since she was 2. The rabbit's ear was torn. She'd asked me to fix it that morning. Sarah and Trevor were on the couch, not talking anymore. Emma stood there for 6 seconds, I counted, 6 seconds of a 4-year-old processing something she didn't have language for. Sarah saw her, said something I couldn't make out on the audio. Emma turned around and went back to her room. They didn't stop. I watched that footage 11 times, not because I wanted to, because I needed to catalog every detail, timestamp, duration, Emma's body language, the fact that they didn't even pause when she walked in. The timestamp showed 3:42 p.m., Emma's nap time. Except Emma wasn't napping. I called a digital forensics expert the next day. Guy named Derek Chen, former FBI, now private sector. He authenticated the footage, preserved the metadata, burned it to 3 separate drives with chain of custody documentation. This is admissible, he said. But Marcus, you sure you want to use this? It's your daughter on that recording. My daughter walked in on something she shouldn't have seen. That's exactly why I need to use it. He handed me the drives in a padded envelope. One more thing. The metadata shows this was recorded in your home. You're allowed to surveil your own property, legally clean. I added it to the folder. 47 hours of truth in 128 gigabytes. Janet called me at 6:30 a.m. on a Thursday. I was making Emma's breakfast, scrambled eggs with cheese, cut up strawberries, orange juice in her purple cup. Marcus, we need to talk, today. Can it wait until I drop Emma at school? No, it can't. I met her at a coffee shop near her office. She had her laptop open before I even sat down. Show me, she said. Show you what? Whatever's in that envelope, because Richard Holt just filed a motion claiming you're hiding assets. He's requesting 3 years of forensic accounting, and if you've been lying to me about your finances, I need to know now before I'm complicit in fraud. I ordered a black coffee, took my time adding sugar even though I don't take sugar, making her wait, making the moment cost something. Then I pulled out my laptop, opened the folder, turned the screen toward her. She scrolled and scrolled. Tax returns, 1099 forms, LLC documents, royalty statements from Adobe, licensing agreements with Epic Games, an NFT collection that sold for $2.3 million in August 2023. 43 seconds of silence, I counted. Then, holy shit. Yeah. Marcus, you've made She was doing math in her head. 14 million over 3 years. 14.7 actually, but who's counting? You've been working this whole time. While Sarah was telling everyone you were a failed artist, you were building a digital empire under a pseudonym, Hayes Digital Studio, incorporated in Delaware, separate tax ID, completely legal. She looked at me like I'd just pulled a dove out of my sleeve. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed Sarah to commit to her narrative first. I needed her to file an affidavit claiming I make $0. I needed her to request spousal support based on fraud. I needed her attorney to call me a failure on the record. So when we reveal this in court, she's not just wrong, she's a perjurer. Janet went quiet for 43 seconds. Then, holy shit. She closed the laptop, looked at me, really looked. You're not the victim here, are you? You're the goddamn strategist. I'm a father, I said, who happens to be good at documentation. Here's my question for you. Is protecting yourself the same as giving up? Drop, protect, or forgive? I'm curious where you stand. Because I think about that question every time I add another screenshot to the folder. Every time I save another text message. Am I protecting Emma, or am I just too hurt to let go? I don't have the answer yet. The custody evaluation was scheduled for April 3rd. Court-appointed evaluator named Dr. Patricia Nguyen, clinical psychologist, 20 years of experience. The kind of person who can tell when you're lying by the way you breathe. She interviewed Sarah first. I waited in the lobby with Emma reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar for the 47th time. Emma had the pages memorized. She'd mouth the words along with me. When Sarah came out, she looked calm, confident. She kissed Emma on the head. Be good for Dr. Nguyen, baby. Tell her the truth. Emma nodded. Sarah glanced at me, smiled. The smile said, you've already lost. Dr. Nguyen's office smelled like lavender and old books. She had Emma's drawings on the wall, not just the one Emma brought, but several she'd asked the preschool to send over. Emma drew a lot. Families, houses, people holding hands. Emma, Dr. Nguyen said, sitting on the floor with her, can you tell me about your family? Emma pulled out her purple crayon, always purple. There's Daddy and me. What about Mommy? Mommy's there too, but she's busy. Busy with what? Work and Mr. Trevor. Dr. Nguyen made a note. Who's Mr. Trevor? Mommy's friend. He comes over a lot. Does he come over when Daddy's home? No, when Daddy goes to the store. How does that make you feel when Mr. Trevor is there? Emma thought about it, 4 years old, and she already knew this was a loaded question. I don't know, she said. Mommy says to stay in my room. Dr. Nguyen asked about routines. Who makes breakfast? Daddy, Emma said, and Mommy sleeps. What time does Daddy make breakfast? 7, then we watch one show, then school. What about bedtime? Who puts you to bed? Daddy, we read 2 books, then I tell him 3 good things. 3 good things? 3 good things from my day. Like, today I painted a flower at school. That's one good thing. Dr. Nguyen looked at her notes. When's the last time Mommy put you to bed? Emma's face scrunched up, thinking. I don't remember. It had been 7 months. I kept a calendar. Every night I put Emma to bed, I marked it. Sarah hadn't done bedtime since September. My interview was after lunch. Dr. Nguyen asked about my relationship with Emma, our routines, how I handle discipline, whether I'm involved in her school. I told her everything, the breakfast ritual, the bedtime stories, the 3 good things game, the way Emma and I have pancake Sundays, the way I braid her hair every morning because Sarah never learned how. Mr. Hayes, Dr. Nguyen said, you're aware that Sarah has requested full custody? I am. She's claiming you're emotionally absent, that you prioritize your art over your daughter. I'm aware of the claim. Is it true? No. Can you provide evidence to the contrary? I pulled out Emma's favorite memories journal. Purple cover, Emma picked it out. Inside were pages of drawings and my handwriting. I'd started it when Emma turned 3. Every week we'd write down one favorite memory together. Week of January 4th, Emma and Daddy made snow angels. Week of January 11th, we baked cookies. Emma ate 3 before dinner. Week of February 22nd, Emma learned to spell her whole name. Every entry in my handwriting, because I'm the one who writes while Emma dictates. 52 weeks per year for 2 years, 104 entries. Sarah hadn't contributed a single one. Dr. Nguyen flipped through the journal slowly. Her expression didn't change, but her pen moved faster across her notepad. When's the last time Sarah participated in this ritual? She hasn't. She doesn't know it exists. Why not? Because she doesn't ask about Emma's day. She doesn't sit on the floor and color. She doesn't check the backpack for school notes. She doesn't... I stopped, took a breath. She doesn't do the small stuff nobody sees. To every parent who's reading the same book for the 47th time, making the same mac and cheese, doing the small stuff nobody sees, comment, I see you. Because I do. Dr. Nguyen set the journal down. Mr. Hayes, I'll be honest with you. I've evaluated over 300 custody cases. I've learned that the truth usually lives in the details. Who knows their shoe size? Who packs their lunch? Who remembers their best friend's name? Emma's shoe size is 10. Her best friend is Sophia Chen. She likes her sandwiches cut diagonally, not straight across. And Sarah. I don't know what Sarah knows. Sarah's financial affidavit came through 3 days later. Janet called me from her car, reading it aloud while I paced my studio. Line 6, petitioner's annual income, $0. Line 8, respondent's annual income, $147,000. Line 12, petitioner has no assets of significant value. Line 17, respondent refuses to contribute to marital expenses. She signed it? Under penalty of perjury, April 8th, notarized. I felt something cold and perfect click into place. The feeling you get when a lock tumbles and a door opens. So she's claiming I make $0, contribute nothing, and have no assets. That's what she swore to, yes. While requesting $4,200 a month in spousal support. Correct. And when we present evidence that I've made $14.7 million over the last 3 years. Janet was quiet. Then she's not just wrong, Marcus. She's committed perjury and fraud. And that affects everything: custody, support, her credibility as a witness. She signed under penalty of perjury. I counted 7 lies on 1 page. Send me a copy, I said. I want to see it. That night, I printed it out, hung it on my studio wall, looked at her signature, the same signature that was on our marriage license, on Emma's birth certificate, on the mortgage, now on a document swearing I was worthless. I left it there. Reminder of what happens when people underestimate silence. The text messages came through Discovery in mid-April. Sarah's attorney had to turn over all communications between Sarah and Trevor as part of the infidelity evidence. Richard fought it, but the judge ruled that if adultery was being claimed, communications were fair game. 247 text messages over 6 months. Janet's paralegal compiled them into a PDF. Timestamps preserved, context intact. Most of it was what you'd expect. I miss you. Can't wait to see you. He's gone to the studio. Come over. But 3 messages stopped me cold. March 23rd, 11:34 p.m. Trevor. I thought you said he had nothing. Sarah. He doesn't. He's a failed artist who plays around in Photoshop. Trevor. Then why are you worried about the divorce? Sarah. I'm not. He'll owe me support. It's handled. April 9th, 9:47 p.m. Trevor. Your lawyer called me. They want me to testify about Marcus's employment. I don't know anything about his work. Sarah. Just say he doesn't work, that he's always in the studio but never sells anything. They'll believe you. Trevor. This feels wrong. Sarah. It's fine. Trust me. April 15th, 7:23 p.m. Trevor, Sarah, I looked into court records. Your attorney filed something about hidden assets. What the hell is going on? Sarah, nothing. Marcus is bluffing. He has nothing. Trevor, I can't afford to be involved in fraud. My firm will fire me. Sarah, you're overreacting. Trevor, I'm serious. If this gets messy, I'm out. Sarah, Trevor, don't do this. Trevor, I thought you said he had nothing. I can't do this. That was the last message. 3 days later, Trevor blocked Sarah's number. I know because Janet subpoenaed his phone records. Trevor's last message. I thought you said he had nothing. I can't do this. He left her the second he realized I might not be broke. Not because he had morals, because he had a career to protect. Sarah called him 47 times in the next week. He never answered. The affair ended the same way it started, with Trevor deciding what was convenient. The court date was set for May 12th, 6 weeks away. Janet filed our response to Sarah's custody petition, attached the nanny cam footage, the journal, Emma's drawings, my financial records, all of them. Richard Holt called Janet within an hour of receiving the filing. She put him on speaker. Janet, what the hell is this? Discovery, she said. You asked for assets. There they are. Your client claimed he made $9,000. No, my client reported $9,000 from his personal art sales. Hayes Digital Studio is a separate entity, different tax ID. He never lied. Your client, however, swore under oath that he makes $0. Silence. Richard, are you still there? This is Janet. You ambushed us. No, you assumed. There's a difference. More silence. We need to talk about settlement. I'm sure you do, Janet said, but we're going to trial. My client wants his day in court. He's earned it. She hung up, looked at me. Sarah's going to panic. I know. Trevor's going to run. He already did. And when we walk into that courtroom, everyone's going to know exactly what kind of person she is. Good, I said, because here's the thing about being invisible. Eventually, you get to choose when to be seen. And when you do, you make damn sure it's worth it. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, 20 seats in the gallery, Sarah's mother in the front row, Michelle, 3 people from Sarah's office, nobody from my side except Carlos, who'd taken the morning off work. Judge Carolyn Brennan presided, mid-60s, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She'd been on the bench for 19 years. Janet said she was fair, but had 0 tolerance for dishonesty. Perfect. Sarah sat at the respondent's table in a navy dress. Professional, sympathetic. She'd done her makeup to look tired. Dark circles just visible enough to suggest she was barely holding it together. Richard Holt beside her in his $600 suit. I wore khakis and a button-down. The struggling artist, the absent father, the man who'd given up. Janet leaned over. You ready? I nodded. My briefcase sat at my feet. Inside 3 manila envelopes. 3 years of silence, 40 pages deep. Judge Brennan called the court to order. Richard stood for his opening statement. Your Honor, this is a straightforward case. Sarah Hayes is a successful marketing director who has carried the financial burden of this family for 10 years. She has been the primary caregiver for Emma, age 4, while Mr. Hayes pursued an art career that has yielded minimal income and maximum instability. My client seeks full custody, child support, and spousal support of $4,200 monthly, a modest request given Mr. Hayes' refusal to contribute meaningfully to the household. He sat down. Sarah dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. Performance art. Janet stood. Your Honor, this case is indeed straightforward, but not for the reasons Mr. Holt suggests. Over the next few hours, we will present evidence that conclusively demonstrates 3 things. First, that Mr. Hayes is not only the primary caregiver for Emma, but the only consistent caregiver. Second, that Sarah Hayes has committed perjury by falsifying financial documents. And third, that Sarah Hayes has introduced instability into the home through an ongoing extramarital affair that exposed Emma to inappropriate situations. Richard started to object. Judge Brennan held up her hand. "I'll hear the evidence, counsel. Proceed." Sarah smirked at me. I opened envelope number 1. Janet called Dr. Patricia Nguyen first. She took the stand, sworn in, credentials established. 20 years of custody evaluations, licensed in 3 states, expert witness in over 200 cases. "Dr. Nguyen," Janet said, "you interviewed both parents and Emma Hayes as part of your court-ordered evaluation. Can you summarize your findings?" "Yes, my evaluation covered parenting capacity, emotional attunement, and daily involvement. I found that Marcus Hayes demonstrates consistent, engaged parenting. He maintains regular routines, knows Emma's preferences and needs, and provides emotional security. Sarah Hayes, by contrast, shows limited day-to-day involvement. She could not answer basic questions about Emma's schedule, friendships, or preferences." "Can you give an example?" "I asked both parents what Emma's bedtime routine was. Marcus described it in detail. 2 books, 3 good things from the day, lights out at 8 p.m. Sarah said she didn't know because Marcus handles that." Richard shifted in his seat. "Dr. Nguyen, did you review any physical evidence as part of your evaluation?" "Yes. Mr. Hayes provided a journal documenting shared activities with Emma. 104 entries over 2 years, all in his handwriting. Sarah Hayes had contributed 0 entries." Janet entered the journal as Exhibit C. "One final question. In your professional opinion, who should have primary custody?" "Marcus Hayes, without question." Richard stood for cross-examination, tried to suggest I'd coached Emma, that the journal was performative, that I was manipulating the system. Dr. Nguyen didn't budge. "Mr. Holt, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know the difference between a father who's present and a father who's posturing. Marcus Hayes is present." Next witness, Derek Chen, digital forensics expert, former FBI. He authenticated the nanny cam footage, explained the metadata, the timestamps, the unbroken chain of custody. "Mr. Chen," Janet said, "can this footage be doctored?" "Technically, yes, but not without leaving traces. I examined every frame. The metadata is intact. GPS coordinates match the Hayes residence. Timestamps correspond to Sarah's known schedule. This footage is authentic." Janet played 3 minutes, not the worst parts. We'd agreed to protect Emma from anything too explicit. Just enough to show Trevor in the house. Sarah aware, Emma walking in. The courtroom went still. Judge Brennan made notes. Sarah's mother looked at her daughter. Michelle looked away. "Exhibit F," Janet said. "Emma's drawing, dated March 4th. She held it up. Purple crayon, 2 figures holding hands, Sarah walking away toward T. The courtroom went still. "This is how a 4-year-old processes abandonment," Janet said quietly. Sarah was crying, real tears this time. Then came the financial testimony. Janet called Marcus Hayes to the stand. Me. I was sworn in, sat down, looked at Sarah. "Mr. Hayes," Janet said, "what is your occupation?" "I'm a digital artist and designer. I operate Hayes Digital Studio, LLC. "Can you describe your work?" "I create digital assets, UI kits, graphic templates, NFT collections. I license them to companies and individual creators." "How long have you been doing this work?" 8 years, full-time for the last 3. "And your income from this work?" "Varies annually. The last 3 years, $3.2 million, $4.8 million, and $6.7 million, respectively." The gallery erupted. Judge Brennan gabbled them quiet. Sarah's face went white. "Your Honor," Janet said, "I'd like to enter Exhibits G through L, 3 years of tax returns, LLC operating agreements, 1099 forms, and correspondence from the IRS authenticating these documents." She handed them to the clerk. The clerk handed them to Judge Brennan. The judge read, and read. 43 pages, 11 minutes of silence. Sarah's face changed at minute 4. Finally, Judge Brennan looked up. "Mr. Holt, your client filed an affidavit stating Mr. Hayes earns $0 annually." Richard stood. "Your Honor, we were not aware. The affidavit is dated April 8th, signed and notarized. Your client swore under penalty of perjury that Mr. Hayes has no income and no assets of significant value." "Your Honor, we relied on information provided." "Information that was demonstrably false," Judge Brennan said. Her voice was cold, clinical. "Mr. Holt, does your client wish to amend her affidavit?" Sarah whispered to Richard. He shook his head no. "Your Honor, we'd like to request a recess to review." "Denied. Mr. Hayes, you may step down." I returned to my seat. Janet squeezed my arm. Judge Brennan removed her glasses. "Let me make sure I understand. Sarah Hayes filed for full custody and spousal support based on the claim that Marcus Hayes is unemployed and unable to contribute financially. Meanwhile, Mr. Hayes has earned nearly $15 million over 3 years." "Your Honor," Richard tried again, "my client was not aware." "Your client is married to him, Mr. Holt, for 10 years. You're telling me she never noticed?" Silence. The judge put her glasses back on. "Here's what I notice. I notice that Mr. Hayes filed accurate tax returns every year. I notice that he maintained a separate business account, which is legal and common. I notice that he never claimed poverty or requested support. Your client, however, filed sworn documents claiming he's destitute." She flipped through the affidavit. Line 6, $0. Line 12, no assets. Line 15, unable to contribute to marital expenses. "Mrs. Hayes, did you sign this document?" Sarah stood. "Yes, Your Honor, but I didn't know." "You didn't know your husband's income in 10 years of marriage?" "He never told me." "Did you ask?" Silence. "Did you ever look at a tax return, a bank statement? Did you ever once inquire about the 12 hours a day he spent in his studio?" "I thought he was painting." "He was, digitally, for millions of dollars." Judge Brennan set the affidavit down. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I remind you that you're under oath. Did you knowingly file false information with this court?" Sarah's attorney stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to invoke—" "Sit down, Mr. Holt. Mrs. Hayes, answer the question." Sarah's voice was small. "I thought he wasn't making anything." "That's not what I asked. Did you investigate his finances before signing a legal document claiming he had zero income?" "No." "Did you verify the information you provided under oath?" "No." "Then you submitted a sworn affidavit without confirming its accuracy." Sarah looked at Richard. He couldn't help her. "Yes." Judge Brennan made a note. "We'll address that in a moment. Some of you are cheering. Some think I'm petty. React with, for he earned it, or for this feels uncomfortable. No wrong answers." The judge called for a 15-minute recess. Sarah disappeared into the hallway with Richard. I could hear their voices through the door. His angry, hers defensive. Carlos brought me coffee. Brother, that was brutal. Not over yet. When we reconvened, Janet called one final witness, forensic accountant Linda Morrison. She'd reviewed all the financial evidence, built spreadsheets, calculated assets. "Ms. Morrison, based on your review of the Hayes' finances, what is Marcus Hayes' current net worth?" She opened her folder, numbers on official letterhead. As of December 31st, 2024, Mr. Hayes' net assets total $47,280,455. Sarah's attorney dropped his pen. The judge read it twice, like she didn't believe it the first time. $47 million. Yes, Your Honor. And Mrs. Hayes' net worth? Approximately $240,000, mostly in her 401k. Judge Brennan looked at Sarah, then at Richard, then back at the financial statement. Mr. Holt, your client requested spousal support of $4,200 monthly, claiming financial need based on Mr. Hayes' inability to contribute. Given these findings, do you wish to withdraw that request? Richard stood slowly. Your Honor, we'd like to... Because here's what I'm seeing. Under California law, the lower earning spouse is entitled to support from the higher earning spouse. In this case, that would be Mr. Hayes, entitled to support from Mrs. Hayes. Would you like me to calculate what that figure would be? Sarah whispered urgently to Richard. He shook his head. Your Honor, we'd like to withdraw all financial requests at this time. Too late, Judge Brennan said. Mrs. Hayes filed a claim. We're going to adjudicate it. She pulled out a calculator. The courtroom was silent except for the soft clicking of keys. Based on the income disparity and California support guidelines, Mrs. Hayes, you owe Mr. Hayes approximately $1,800 per month in temporary spousal support. Additionally, Mr. Hayes has incurred $84,000 in legal fees defending against claims that were demonstrably false. You'll be responsible for reimbursing those fees. The judge awarded Sarah $0, then charged her $84,000 in my legal fees. Sarah made a sound, not quite a sob, something smaller, the sound of someone realizing they've lost. Judge Brennan moved to custody. I've reviewed Dr. Nguyen's evaluation. I've seen the evidence of Mr. Hayes' consistent parenting. I've seen Emma's drawings. I've watched the nanny cam footage, which shows, at minimum, extremely poor judgment on Mrs. Hayes' part. She looked at Sarah. Mrs. Hayes, you introduced an extramarital partner into the family home while your husband was absent. You did so repeatedly. You did so with your 4-year-old daughter present. You told Emma to keep secrets. Do you understand how profoundly damaging that is? Your Honor, I never meant... Intent doesn't matter. Impact does. Emma drew a picture of her family with you walking away. That's her truth. That's her experience of your parenting. Sarah was crying fully now. Here are my findings. Marcus Hayes has demonstrated consistent, engaged, child-focused parenting. He maintains routines. He knows his daughter's needs. He has documented evidence of daily involvement spanning years. Sarah Hayes has demonstrated the opposite. Limited involvement, minimal knowledge of Emma's daily life, introduction of instability into the home, and most critically, dishonesty with this court. She looked at her notes. Primary physical custody is awarded to Marcus Hayes. Sarah Hayes will have supervised visitation every other weekend pending completion of a parenting evaluation. If that evaluation is favorable, we'll revisit unsupervised visitation in 6 months. Primary custody to father. Supervised visitation for mother pending evaluation. I felt something in my chest unlock. Something I'd been holding tight for months. Emma was mine, legally, finally, mine. Sarah tried to approach me in the hallway after. Richard stopped her. Don't, he said. You've done enough damage. She looked at me. Makeup ruined, navy dress wrinkled. Marcus, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. You didn't ask, I said. That's different. Can we talk? About Emma, about visitation. Talk to your attorney, schedule supervised visits, follow the court order. I'm her mother. Then act like it, I said. I walked away. Carlos followed. Janet waited by the elevator. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I'm good. Marcus, I've been practicing law for 18 years. I've never seen anything like that. Good, I said. She earned every second. 3 months later, Emma and I live in a new place now. 2-bedroom apartment near her school. Purple walls in her room because that's her favorite color. We kept the breakfast routine, the bedtime stories, the three good things. Sarah sees her every other Saturday, supervised by a court-appointed monitor. She brings gifts Emma doesn't need, tries too hard, Emma tolerates it. "Daddy," Emma said last week, "does Mommy still love me?" We were making pancakes, Sunday morning ritual. "Yes, baby, she does. She's learning how to show it better." "Okay." Emma poured more blueberries into the batter. Then, "Can Miss Claire come for pancakes next week?" Claire, the woman I'd been seeing for 2 months. Kindergarten teacher, warm smile, patient. She'd met Emma 3 times. Always casual, always letting Emma set the pace. "Would you like that?" "Yeah, she's nice, and she laughs at your jokes even when they're not funny." I laughed. "That is nice." That afternoon, Emma was drawing. Purple crayon, as always. She'd been drawing a lot since the custody decision. Dr. Nguyen said it was her way of processing. "Daddy, look." She held up the paper. 3 stick figures inside a house. 1 tall with glasses, me. 1 small with pigtails, her. 1 medium with long hair, Claire. Above them, my family. Emma handed me the new drawing. She'd added someone new, someone who stayed. In the corner, she'd drawn a sun, yellow crayon, something that hadn't been in her drawings before. "Is it okay if our family is different?" she asked. I knelt down, looked at her. 4 years old and already understanding that families don't have to look like the pictures in storybooks. "Different families are the best kind," I said. She smiled, went back to coloring. I hung the drawing on the refrigerator next to the old one, the one with just 2 people. Evidence of before and after, evidence of healing. Sarah called twice that night. I didn't answer. Emma and I made pancakes instead. Found family isn't about DNA, it's about who shows up. If you've got a chosen family story, a person who stayed when they didn't have to, drop their name or just on below, I'll read everyone. Sometimes I think about that birthday party, Sarah laughing in my face, Trevor's hand on her back, 87 people liking a post that called me invisible. They weren't wrong. I was invisible. But here's what they didn't understand. I chose that. I chose to be quiet while they were loud. I chose to document while they performed. I chose to build something in the shadows while they threw parties in the light. Some people stay invisible by choice. The best kind of invisibility is when you're building something they can't see until you want them to. And when you finally let them see it, you make sure it's the last thing they expect and the only thing that matters. Emma calls from her room. "Daddy, I'm ready for stories." I go, 2 books tonight, The Giving Tree and Where the Wild Things Are. Then 3 good things, her good things today. I got a gold star in school. Miss Claire said she likes my drawing, and you didn't go anywhere. That last one breaks me a little, still, every time. I'm not going anywhere, baby. Promise? Promise. She falls asleep holding her purple crayon. I stay invisible now, not because I'm hiding, because I'm building, because the best kind of strength is the kind nobody sees until you choose to show them. And I choose to show Emma every single day. That's the only audience I need.